You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello and welcome to Force 13 Live. We are covering Cyclone Mocha once again, like we did last night local time. It is now a new morning, and it is a morning in which this storm has become stronger. When we were doing our last live event, we were leaving it with 60 miles per hour. In fact, it had just been upgraded to 70. This morning, as we are about to get daylight over the storm, it is now at 80 miles per hour sustained winds. That's just over 120 kilometers per hour, and an estimated central pressure right now of 977 millibars. You can see all the information right beneath me here. My name is Nathan Foy here in the studio, and tonight, at least it's nighttime here, local time where we are, I'm joined by Christian. Hello to you in internet land. Hi, Christian.
Good evening, local time. Yeah, good morning, local time to those in the region. Hi.
Ahead of the storm. It's still indicating that we're probably going to see a landfall along the coast between near the border between Bangladesh and Myanmar. What's the current forecast though? Well, the JTWC's cone is on the right hand side. I'm just trying to read what that says. They're calling for, I think that's 110 knot peak. So that is higher than what they were saying earlier on, and I'm not surprised to see that. Yep, they're calling for 110 knot peak, 125 miles per hour before landfall, and there's interesting questions as to when exactly will the landfall occur and how strong. Those are really the two leading questions that we have this morning as we look at this latest satellite imagery on your screen alongside that JTWC cone. Now there is one or two little areas of contention regarding the models right now. We have the GFS, which is pretty much what the JTWC cone is saying there. That's pretty much the GFS forecast, although the GFS has it stronger. The ECMWF is quite closely aligned to that as well. And I'm just trying to... what is that intensity after landfall there? Oh, it's gone. It goes down a lot after landfall, unsurprisingly. But then you have the other two models, mainly the Icon model, which, get this, Christian, was calling it the 18Z run, the latest one, for I think 926 millibar landfall, but much further south, and that it would happen Saturday evening rather than on Sunday.
Oh.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah, that throws the cat amongst the pigeons, so to say.
Never heard that before.
What? How have you never heard that phraseology before? Never mind. That's much further south than what the other models are predicting. I'm not sure whether that will come to fruition or whether it will have any bearing at all, whether we can just dismiss that. But the best line of thought right now is that landfall will occur on Sunday evening local time, I think that is. Sunday afternoon or evening local time is what I'm indicating here, Christian. What do you think about that?
I'm just trying to think. It's Friday morning right now for them. So this thing's got a while to go yet.
It does have a while to go, and that's why we are quite concerned. This thing could get pretty strong.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are just tuning in quite slowly because we had a big build up with this tropical weather bulletin that only went out like 20 minutes before we went live. We had this live event penciled in quite a while ago. But first of all, let's Taniel there congratulating himself 1 year being a member, one of our own team members here. Thanks for your support, and we appreciate any support that we get during our live streams or otherwise. It always goes towards our work. Right now, we've quadrupled our web storage to allow for a lot more floater imagery, like the ones that you're seeing on the top right now. So that's costing us a little bit more, which is why we always need your support where possible. But we never make people do that kind of thing. In any case, this storm intensifying, and the established forecast, it would appear, is probably for it to become a Category 3 storm. I think that is, I mean, that's what Kenneth said on the stream last night. Was calling for a 120 mile per hour landfall after 2 spells of intensification. There it is at the moment on the top right. You can see once again that latest infrared imagery, really showing some good colours there. Some very high cloud tops, well into the minus 80s on all round the south side of the storm. So it's really been blowing up. It's been churning away, pushing away all of that dry air intrusion issues that it might have had earlier on. And it's looking good. It's very robust. It's gradually intensifying, probably a factor of it being so fairly large. And it's on its way. And everyone over there needs to be ready for it. Now, there aren't really any proper... Well, there are sort of warnings in these locations, but I've taken the liberty to do my own unofficial warnings as if it was from, say, someone like the National Hurricane Center in their format. So right now, it would be the equivalent of a tropical storm watch from a place called... What was it called? Pardon me. Gua along the coast of Myanmar would be the start of the tropical storm watch equivalent, and it would extend all the way around to Ramgati, which is getting up into the Ganges River Delta. And we would have the equivalent to a hurricane watch. That would be for hurricane equivalent conditions possible within 72 hours from Sitwe to the northern end of Chattagram. So those areas there, especially prone. We wouldn't issue warnings yet because it's not within 48 hours, but we are getting quite close to that 48-hour threshold for some of those locations, particularly on the southern side. I think right now about 60 hours out. So by the time we get to evening hours today, we will be looking at that this is going to get pretty severe. In the meantime, none of those areas are really experiencing strong winds yet, but you can already see on some of these satellite pictures that the cloud cover is certainly increasing for large parts of those areas. Myanmar, the Andaman Islands still are probably actually the closest point to the storm. And just on that image on the top right there, is that some first visible imagery? I suppose it must be round about now. Let's see if we can take a proper look at some early visibles and see if we can take a look at some cool looking imagery from the Himawari 9 satellite. Yes. Let's show you what the first visibles are looking like then of this behemoth of a storm. Just got to find the right button. Here we are. There's a view of it right now, or very nearly right now, about 20 minutes ago. That's what the storm looked like. If you're struggling to get your bearings there, let's just put the shoreline on, and there you can see its relation to those land masses. And right towards the center, of course, that's where the eye is. Buried, though, inside a lot of very dense convective clouds. Let's take some questions. Where is the predicted landfall location going to be? Says Cursed Chaos. From what we've established, it's probably going to be, I mean, very close to the border, really. Probably just north of Sitwe. But right now, I would say anywhere between there and Cox's Bazar is probably where we're going to see a landfall. It could still deviate away from those locations a little bit more, but it's you know, it would be unlikely, I would suggest. We have quite a few more people here, actually. I wasn't expecting that. We have got on board with us right now Taniel, Cesar, and Ethan. Let's first talk to Taniel right now, and what's going on over there?
Well, I'm currently doing a little bit of a recon into the storm and flight sim.
I keep telling Taniel not to do these things,
Oh.
but he is. I mean, when there's nothing else really to look at on the ground, there's no web cameras or anything. This is a bit of a crude recreation into what the picture might look like if you were flying into the storm right now. But
Now, yes, it would be a lot more turbulent, a little more not non-clear, but
since we're doing proper coverage, we've got to put the disclaimer that this isn't real imagery right now on the top right there. But it is a faithful simulation. I don't think people should discount it straight away. It's just how good these simulations are getting right now, actually replicating the real world weather to a fair degree for most people's purposes.
yeah, they will only keep getting better as time goes on.
Ethan, you're
Flying
with us
is
as
the
well. You have just returned from vacay, and you find this storm potentially on the road to rapid intensification, although it doesn't look like it's doing it at the moment.
Absolutely. Goodness, it's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize if I'm a bit rusty. But yeah, I haven't been particularly monitoring the storm very close, but I do know that it is looking pretty good on satellite imagery, although the storm is massive. Its whole influence really is taking up the whole of the Bay of Bengal, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I know that earlier, Nathan, you were wanting to look at some of the computer models, so I can get some of those pulled up for you if you want. I can actually get my screen up right now. I've actually got the some of the model runs pulled up. Right. So here we have the latest model run for the ECMWF, or the Euro as we call it. This is the 18Z run, which ran a little bit earlier on today.
Tell you what, Ethan, before you do that, it is too small on our screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load it on my screen as well, and you can talk us. We still can't see it very well. You can talk us through it whilst I show it on my screen, and you just guide me. Whatever you start talking about, I'll go there. Tell us what the ECMWF is showing then.
Well, for its current pressure that it has, it analyzed it was forecasting it to be around 980 millibars. So it's probably a little bit lower than that right now. But overall, it's got a good handle on the system. Although the wind field is a little bit more tighter than what we're actually seeing on this storm. But of course, it does intensify the storm significantly. Does get up towards maybe by 0Z tomorrow, 24 hours for now, mid 950s for the pressure already. That's quite remarkable.
So that would be some rapid intensification there.
Hmm. And then further on, as it gets towards the coastline, a 932 millibar peak.
Yep. I can tell you're seeing this for the first time.
Yes, I am. I think that's what around what the GFS has. GFS, I believe, is 930. I heard that's, yep. Pretty
9:30
much
right
same
now.
time. Pretty much same time, actually. So that's
Yeah, you're right.
good timing on the peak that we're going to be seeing it early Sunday morning here. I don't know what that is locally. I think that's
Yeah, Sunday evening
Monday.
there.
Thank you. But 930 is on the pressure there, so that's low 930, so that's probably Cat 4. We'll go over
Yep.
to the HWRF. What? Oh my goodness. I know that the HWRF, I've been looking at this a little bit. It has been pretty consistent on this,
Oh boy.
and it is forecasting.
Hold on a minute. Now that one. Oh, okay. 9:52 in 24 hours.
Okay, that's not bad.
But then it really goes to 9. Wait, hold on. 9:16 at the following 24 hours. Oh,
Oh no. Uh-oh.
that.
That's bad
So-
news.
So, I mean, obviously the winds aren't really that high. You can see that the highest that it gets is only up into the low Cat 4 range. That's probably going to be a Category 5 either way.
Okay.
On the HWRF model. So that's
Yeah,
probably what I would
pressure
say
like
is
that is going to be a 5.
that's going to be a worst case scenario. But it is worth noting that the HWRF does have this system being quite large, and it has been a little bit consistent. So I think personally, while I wouldn't completely discount it, I do think that something like this is completely possible, and we need to keep our head out ahead of the game, so to speak, for this. Just in case it happens. Not saying it will, but it is a possibility. Now, I know that you mentioned the Icon model earlier. I haven't seen it yet.
Now
so
that's
this is
an
my raw
outlier
reaction.
track-wise, but actually,
Whoa.
no, yeah, it still is.
Yeah, going way farther south, mid 920s on the pressure.
And that right
so that-
there is a landfall in 48 hours compared to 66 or so on the GFS and ECMWF.
I'll go to the ensembles here in just a minute, just to see what they have. But that's a pretty southerly outlier and a strong one too. I think a slightly more southerly storm would get into lesser wind shear and therefore would be a stronger storm. Either way, the storm is going to have favorable conditions all the way up until landfall, really. And well, Navgem, I'm not even going to mention that. So let's pop over to the ensembles. Let's have a look at what they've got.
Let's go
They're
back to
pretty-
your screen on this one then. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Stop working.
Yeah, so you'll-
There we go.
You'll be able to see this from your layout. So what this is, it is basically this is the GEFS ensemble. So what does that mean? Well, it's basically you're running the GFS model run over and over and over and over and over again. But every single time that you run it, you tweak one little thing about it and you see what happens. And this is what it is. So every single one of these numbers is a potential center for Cyclone Mocha. And you can see here the spread as far as it goes. This is getting towards, I believe, early Sunday morning locally. Fairly decent spread as far as tropical cyclones go. You know, typically we see a envelope like this much larger than this 2 days out. This is quite remarkable consistency for 2 days out. But you can see here, as it goes into the coastline, a lot of questions start to emerge. Does it go up further north or does it come in further south? My best guess is probably where the Joint Typhoon Warning Center has it forecast to make landfall, right along the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. That's probably our best guess right now. What intensity, though, I can't really say, although a strong landfall is looking pretty likely.
The big sticking
if I had to
point
guess, at
there,
least
Ethan.
three.
Yeah, the big sticking point there on that intense track is it speeds up, and all of those ensembles have it speeding up at different rates and times. That's why we're seeing that discrepancy later on in that run.
And look at the Euro ensembles here too. You can see it's really it's not like the GFS. It's sort of got two areas here. You can see they got one off towards the southwest. This is Sunday afternoon locally, I believe, right?
Sorry, I wasn't looking there. That is, yep, Sunday
Yeah,
afternoon.
Yeah, so you can see here, it's got this bundle down here, and it's also got this bundle just to its northeast. And as that goes in, you know, it might make landfall a little bit earlier than that, or it could be a little bit later than that. It's got sort of a 50-50 down the shot. But you notice that those ensemble runs, the eastern one or the northeastern one, come in a little bit closer to where the Joint Typhoon Warning Center have it making landfall at. But the western set goes a little bit farther up towards the north.
Oh, yes. Basically, as Icon has proved in that run, the faster they go, the further south they'll go. And those slower ones end up going further north, and those faster ones just goes through a little bit slowly there. The first ensemble model member makes landfall when, and the last one makes landfall when.
On at least on the Euro here, the earliest landfall on the Euro ensembles appears to be 6Z Sunday. I don't know what time that is
so
locally.
that's Sunday afternoon.
And the last one appears to be maybe around 9Z Monday. So that's a
Wow.
24-hour gap. At least on just the Euro ensembles. At least on
Monday's
the
really
GF.
late. It's only Friday.
Yeah. At least on the GFS ensembles, pretty similar for the earliest, around 3Z Sunday, to maybe 21Z Sunday as well. So that it's a little bit further of or a little bit shorter of a time gap, but it does appear sometime, at least on the UTC clock. I'm not familiar with the times over there, unfortunately. Sunday appears to be a good bet for landfall.
Yeah.
Also, Nathan,
Hmm.
I'm now in the center.
So,
It's relatively clear.
according to the flight sim, the center of the storm looks like that. I'm not
Yeah.
really convinced on that fully. Although
It'd probably
It's
be
not far off.
extremely more cloudy up there.
not too far off.
But just a personal note that I want to make here real quick, Nathan. After reviewing all of the model runs and how the storm is looking right now, I mean, it looks pretty good. At least comparing to what I'm seeing right now, honestly, I can't see the storm not reaching Category 4 status, at least briefly.
Damn. And there's some more satellite views there as well. Cesar, you're with us too. We've not heard from you yet. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nathan, and good evening to everyone.
What are your thoughts on Cyclone Mocha as you look at it this evening over there in Mexico?
Well, of course, has been quite impressive by the quickly development of Mocha since I did the update yesterday, which wasn't even a named system, which was 3 hours later from the update named as a tropical storm. So, of course, it's quickly intensifying and doesn't looks like it's going to stop that trend. Just, of course, it's significant and bad situation for the people who are possibly in the direct track of impact that Mocha possibly will make. And I think it only depends on how strong or how weak the wind shear will be in the atmosphere to predict a proper analysis on how strong Mocha will be, possibly making landfall at peak intensity since it's moving faster than it was predicted. But I mean, the sea surface temperatures are really warm, 31, 32 degrees Celsius, which is a completely favorable situation for Mocha to deepen. But the atmosphere conditions are going to play, I think, the most important factor of how strong Mocha gets before making landfall.
Let's get on to some questions right now. There's been a few. Tropical Storm Alterly Bronze says, any lightning in Cyclone Mocha right now? Has anyone been looking at that?
Not me.
People were talking. People were talking
wouldn't be
about lightning
surprised.
in the outer bands yesterday, but I haven't heard anything regarding this today.
Knowing how rapidly it's going, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some in there. However, we just can't quite see in the more inner currently.
I'm gonna say probably not, as of the moment.
Hmm.
You don't typically
Maybe
see
when
you typically
when
don't
a
see lightning inside the storm at this strength.
There was another comment there as well, a little off topic. Are storms in the southern Atlantic Ocean still called hurricanes if they form? That has been a bone of contention, I think, in the weather community. I wouldn't personally, I would call them cyclones. So I don't know what any of you guys think.
I think
Well,
it's up to the whoever's responsible for what's the word
Okay.
maintaining it.
in the Brazilian media, I think they refer South Atlantic tropical cyclones as hurricanes. So probably they are called hurricanes as well, like the northern hemisphere in the Atlantic.
Interesting. Random says the last major cyclone landfall in Myanmar was Giri in 2010, which killed 167, and they
It
hope that
wasn't in
Myanmar
Bangladesh.
has better cyclone preparedness. I don't know. I know it was in that area.
I mean, Giri was an late October tropical system that rapidly intensified really quickly before making landfall. I think I have the suspicious that Giri made landfall in Bangladesh. I'm not sure if it was in Myanmar.
Let's just do a fact check on that. Nope, it was absolutely in Myanmar, Category 4
It was in
landfall.
Myanmar. Wow.
Yeah,
And a strong one at that too.
it certainly was.
Absolutely, yeah. That's interesting. 13 years ago.
There's another comment off the back of that actually. How does this storm compare to Giri of 2010? Giri formed in a much smaller space, if that makes sense, than this storm has.
Yeah, and Geary had a much smaller time to intensify prior to landfall, and was never really forecast to be a intense storm. It sort of surprised everyone, completely caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, during that time I remember because I tracked Kiri was one of the first storms I ever tracked. And it was expected to be only between a Cat 1 or maximum Cat 2 tropical cyclone because it was moving slowly to the northeast, but had the good the conditions to intensify, but not expected like a rapid intensification phase, and suddenly managed to intensify into a category 4, almost high-end Cat 4, and it was quite impressive to see actually.
When do you think we'll see our first storm in the Atlantic? Well, there's some news on that. We have. We already have.
Happened.
I don't know how well known this news is yet outside of our circles, but the National Hurricane Center did announce this morning, local time in the US over there, that they have designated that subtropical cyclone that we were looking at in January, and they have called it and designated it 1L, and have called it a subtropical cyclone in retrospect. They even say that they'll have the cyclone report out on it in the next couple of months. So there you have it. That's the first storm done and dusted, and we didn't. Well, some of us knew. I mean, I don't have an official stance on it myself yet because I've not really seen it at all. It looks interesting on satellite imagery, on that tweet that went out earlier from our channel. But anyway, yeah, it does still mean that the first name is Arlene. But to the question, which is pretty much when will we see Arlene? Yeah, I hope it's not pre-season. It would annoy me.
Would annoy everyone.
Any thoughts on that, Ethan? I thought you might have something to say.
No, I actually
Okay.
don't.
Alright.
I'm a bit shocked that the NHC didn't go and issue their TCR on that. Well, that they didn't wait for it. I'm a bit shocked on it.
To announce it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tyler says that they live in the southeast corner of Queensland at Kippering, just north of Brisbane. Very close to David by the sounds of things.
Yep.
Did you say what is your pick, most lightning happening and worst case? I'm not sure what that means. Are we talking about right now? I have no idea what that is talking about, unfortunately. I'll do some investigating though. Tropical Storm Altony Braun, how about the AOI in the southern Indian Ocean? Does it have a chance of forming into a tropical storm or cyclone? We are still giving it a 40%. I don't know if you guys agree with that or not, but I still see serious signs that we could have that South Indian Ocean last hurrah next week.
I see it as a possibility.
To be honest, Nathan, to your probable unsurprisement, I haven't even looked at it.
Oh, right. I thought you were going to say no.
I've been away.
I'm just going to take a quick look to see if there's any lightning going on over there in Australia.
What I can mention about Mocha real quick is I'm actually working on a forecast cone for the storm right now.
Oh,
So I'll
that's
have
good.
that. I'll have that out in a few minutes.
There isn't any lightning going on in Australia. Next, then, what else have we got here? Just going to get through some questions. Just catching up at Lost Worm up to. Alex Yang says, is it currently going rapid intensification?
I think it might be, to be honest.
Oh, you do?
I think it might be just barely getting to the requirements because, well, when you look at the requirements, it's what, 35 miles per hour in 24 hours? I think that's what it is.
It's done. Oh, yeah, it's done more than that.
Yeah. So this storm has rapidly intensified then.
I think so.
Because 24 hours ago, it was, by our analysis, 50. And here we are, we just upgraded it to 85.
Have we?
Yeah, I made that call for 0Z personally.
So that's basically an hour ago.
But Ethan, you know what that means.
I don't.
That means we'll be bumped into code red now.
Oh.
Do you want me to run the numbers?
I mean, I suppose 85. Suppose it's within the error margin, but I think it's a little soon. I think it could be stalling in its intensification right now, and we'll see more rapid intensification later today. Who knows what's going on underneath those convective bands? I'll tell you one thing though, it is shrimping. If people know what that term comes from, it was very popular around 2019 when we were obsessed with shrimp on our server. But it looks a bit like the fried shrimp emoji, you know.
Yeah,
and when it does that, it is a real sign that it's progressing and getting much stronger there.
Yeah. Do you want me to run Tico's numbers for you?
No, it's definitely code red if it's 85 miles per hour. Now then, let's get some more questions then, and we might be sounding a little bit lighthearted, but I guess it's just how we do these fairly slow progressing situations. Once this storm gets closer to landfall, obviously it's much more serious. Of course, we are 60 to 66 hours away from this potential landfall, we think, forecast wise. So obviously now is absolutely the time to be preparing for this storm. Today, during these daylight hours, going to be very important, crucial to get everything ready for this potential storm impact. Now, for many people, the only choice will be to evacuate. And when we're talking about this humanitarian crisis that's already developing across Myanmar at the moment, 1 million people displaced in the northwestern part of the country right now. So this is going to be an enormous challenge for large amounts of people over there in Myanmar. And that displacement looks like it's going to escalate.
Yep.
TJ says, genuine question, do El Nino and La Nina affect the North Indian Ocean basin?
I don't actually know the answer to that, to be honest.
I think the Indian Ocean is a bit more insulated, probably the most insulated from the La Nina El Nino effects. Of course, you've got its own little thermometer, I suppose, the Indian Ocean dipole, which probably has a more substantial effect. I haven't done enough research myself into it, to be honest. The first port of call would be to look at historic El Ninos and La Ninas and to see if there is a pattern in Indian Ocean cyclone development. I don't know. When we think about the southern hemisphere, it's been pretty low on numbers. We've not had any really high activity seasons in years, actually. Upper
In the North Indian
echelons.
Ocean?
No, in the southern hemisphere in general. Well, we've had the southwest Indian Ocean doing quite a bit, 2019 and such, but Australia and the South Pac's been pretty muted.
Yeah.
Even though we've just had Ilsa, but numbers wise. Anyways,
I certainly think that we could be looking at a busy South Pack season coming up, though.
wow. I suppose, yeah, I can see where that thinking's coming from. The chances of
El
El
Nino.
Nino are pretty much 100% now, aren't they?
Yeah. Gonna be a pretty busy West Pack and East Pack season this year. That pretty much is set in stone at this point, let's be honest.
Back to the matter at hand, though, do you think... Well, actually, this isn't fully related to Mocha, but... Do you think we'll ever see a 175-mile-an-hour storm in the North Indian Ocean? We probably have, depending on which analysis you go by. What do you think, Ethan? Have we seen one before, and will we ever see one?
I think we have. I know that a lot of people
Probably
think that Phelan was a strong storm.
Wow.
I haven't looked into Phelan that much, so personally, I wouldn't put it past a peak that strong. But I imagine that there's some storm back in like the 1990s or the 1980s that is probably got a pressure support of a strong storm. That would be my most likely candidate for a very strong storm in the Bay of Bengal or across the basin, if we're not including Phelan. I know that the Joint Typhoon Warning Center officially has Fani for some reason at 175 miles per hour. Don't see where that came from.
Wow.
But there's that. So that's that from them.
Funny Nick says Icon is very consistent on another system forming in the Arabian Sea. Yes, it's near the end of the 5-day period. No other models picking up on it yet. So right now, I would call it garbage, I'm afraid. I don't think that's going to happen yet. It's Until I see another model back it up, I wouldn't run with that.
I think that's
Outlier.
actually pretty normal for the icon to do that. Actually, whenever you have a intense storm, you have it sort of spin off another one. I've noticed that it tends to do that a lot.
Sometimes. Storm Dennis says that they're worried about the chances of Cyclone Mocha impacting or heading towards what is currently the world's largest refugee camp, housing some 700,000 people, as mentioned just earlier on. It's actually over a million in the northwestern part of the country, 1.8 million across the whole country of Myanmar. So it's not a good situation. And I don't know exactly what the conditions are over there, but it has the potential to spell catastrophe when we have a storm like this that's going to be rolling over into that area at possibly full strength. Category 4 certainly not out of the question.
Personally, if I was making a forecast cone, which I am, by the way, personally, I would forecast a Category 4 actually out of the storm. Would I forecast peak at landfall? No. I think it's going to weaken just a little bit as it comes in. Though how much of a difference that makes and how much it weakens coming into landfall, we still don't know. Because, you had a situation back in 2020 where we had Cyclone Mocha. That was supposed to be a really intense storm at landfall, and
Yes.
as we got closer towards the peak intensity of Umpan, the landfall forecast kept going down and down and down very, very slowly. I remember even at peak intensity, we still thought that it was still going to be a strong Category 4 at landfall, and, well, look what it ended up being, a low Cat 2. I'm not saying that this is going to be like that. No, I'm not saying that at all. But just saying that the landfall time and landfall location is pretty much certain. Sometime Sunday into Monday, probably, local time. And probably best guess right now is close to the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. But at what intensity? That is still a question to be answered.
SRB 12. Actually, we'll get on that question in just a moment. I missed another one. Tropical Storm Altony Bronze said, how big is Cyclone Mocha now compared to 24 hours ago? Certainly the convective profile, the amount of convection over the center of the storm is much more widespread than it was earlier. And when you look back at satellite imagery, you've got those outer edges, those outer bands leading across the entire coast of India right now. If we go back to that latest visible from Himawari 8, Himawari 9, oh my god, I'm still making that mistake, we can take a look at just how big that storm's influence is today. I don't have yesterday, but you can see what it looks like today, and for those who were watching yesterday, you'll know that it's a lot bigger, and you can see its whole influence there. Big, long, arcing cloud there on the outer edge, all along the coast of India, moving inland. Of course, the storm itself is still fully at sea, with some rain showers probably reaching southern and central Myanmar now. But it's certainly a picture to behold there.
Have you gone over the Joint Typhoon Warning Center forecast code, Nathan?
I did a little bit, sort of did.
Because I just want to point out, I don't know if you've looked in their prognostic reasoning, but they mentioned something very interesting about the peak intensity.
All right.
So this is what they say. They say, I'll just read the whole discussion here, really.
Sure.
Tropical Cyclone Mocha is currently tracking toward the north and will soon begin to turn toward the northeast as it is steered by a deep layer of tropical ridge to the east. Before I continue, I just want to mention that the Joint Typhoon Warning Center will be issuing a warning in about an hour or so. So we'll see what they say. Continuing. As it does so, the environment will become increasingly favorable for continued intensification, with low vertical wind shear, warm sea surface temperatures, and good outflow. Rapid intensification is likely to occur. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Peak intensity in the official forecast has been raised to 125 miles per hour, 110
Yeah.
knots, at forecast hour 60. But the actual peak intensity of Tropical Cyclone Mocha will likely occur between 60 and 72 hours before landfall. So the peak intensity may need to be raised in further forecast
Sorry,
cycles.
could you say that again? That last sentence.
Basically, what they're saying is the peak intensity is going to occur probably after what they've marked and at a stronger intensity. And it may need to be raised in future forecasts.
I just thought you said that the peak intensity would be reached 60 to 72 hours before landfall.
No, I might have said that.
Did you mean 6 to 7?
No, I wasn't meaning that at all. I was basically saying that it might occur in 60 to 72 hours out from the
From now.
warning cycle.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just a bit confused there for a moment.
my apologies.
Now, another important question. Actually, SRB, first of all. What would happen if Mocha got Category 4 with 145 miles per hour, which higher than forecast peaks? Well, I mean, that is a possibility. Can't be ruled out. It's well within the margin for error. And how much surge could this storm produce on the coast of Myanmar? I would expect at this point it's probably going to be over 10 feet.
I think it might be higher personally.
If it gets to strength, but at the moment all we've got is a Category 1. And what storm names will be retired in Australia and the South Pacific? Question mark.
Yeah.
I think Ilsa, probably.
Ilsa, Judy, Kevin. That would be my 3 guesses at the moment.
I'm not sure if Freddy's gonna be retired.
Oh, that one will go almost
Yeah,
certainly.
that one's gotta go.
Charles O'Connor says, a few days ago the GFS was certain of a Category 5. Personally, I think that's out of the question. And what do we think?
I don't think it is. I don't think a Category
No.
5 is out of the question.
I don't think it is either. At the moment, I don't think it will happen, but just looking at pressures on that icon, for it to be able to get to 926 in less than 2 days, that is nearly Category 5 intensity. You know,
I'm not sure it's
HWRF
going to occur with Mocha.
is obviously frightening, but that GFS and ECMWF at the moment not calling for it. But then, you know, we forecast these storms, we have short memories, and have we actually looked recently at these models to see if things that were projected to not be Category 5s did become them?
That's interesting because usually some models tend to overrate the storm's intensity.
And some underdo it.
Well, with Ilsa happened because they predicted like a record-breaking southern hemisphere cyclone, literally sub 90s,
Oh, yeah.
sub 900, millibars.
Oh, that's right, yeah. It didn't get that far.
No, thankfully, it didn't get that far.
Absolutely, wind shear helped. But you know, it's quite interesting how those changes occur with the models. I personally don't know which are the criteria the models take to predict such intensities. Maybe like the worst case scenario. But you know, Mother Nature is sometimes quite surprising and give us things unexpectedly.
Another comment from Storm Dennis. How long before a definitive eye pops out? And how large do you think it will be?
Could be a pinhole.
No, it's not going to be a pinhole.
No.
No.
By how fast it's intensifying?
Well, hold on a minute. Let's see if there's any recent microwave, and that will probably give us a clue. You'll probably be able to see how
We've
large the eye
got
is.
we've got the Joint Typhoon Warning Center estimate, Nathan. They've gone with winds of 75 miles per hour, 981 millibars. That's a Category 1 from them on the Saffir-Simpson scale, just upgraded from them.
A little bit on the low side. Here is a microwave pass from earlier on, a little while ago now, about 6 hours old. But there is what it looked like at that time, and as you can see, the eye was significantly sized. It was not going to be a
Yeah, it's
pinhole,
not going to be a pinhole. Yeah.
but that is probably maybe 20, 25 miles wide. So that's an average sized eye there, is probably what we'll end up seeing when it pops out.
Looks decent. I mean, looks really decent.
It certainly did on that image. No other microwave images since then though, and it's been a little while now, so that's a bit unfortunate. Just a quick check to ADT right now, Ethan, and their latest estimates don't appear to be working actually. Have they got the center? I think Sims is way off at the moment. Let me just go and check NOAA. But I'm guessing... oh no, they've got T4.0, so I'm guessing JTWC are going to be relying a lot on that for this update at least.
So T4.0 means a Cat 1 hurricane or tropical cyclone.
75 miles per hour there, which is exactly what the JTWC has done. Now then, Griff Forza just said IMD satellite fix is showing very severe cyclonic storm T4.0 as well, so that's some agreement going on there. And just a quick one there from Charles again, a question. What year has produced the most Medicanes, and do you agree with the 3 named storms so far this year? There's been 3 named storms so far this year? I never knew. I don't know why. On my database, the most Medicanes in one season is... Let me have a little look here. There was 3 in 1985, and in 1996, and in 1999. And that's what I have. So it's a 3-way tie right there. I'm sure there's some more to be found though. And we are actually running out of time here. It's gone by really quick, this stream. When we do finish up in a few minutes, we will send you over back to our automated stream, which will run throughout the day and will provide the latest satellite imagery. Let me just go and configure that feature right now. But when we go off the air in a few moments, I will go over there and update that stream, because that's getting a little bit out of date again, and you can stick around and take a look at all of that. So we've got you covered at all moments during this storm. It's on its way towards land right now. And how much ace does Cyclone Mocha have so far? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not very much so far, I would suggest.
Probably 1 or 2.
Maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. And damage potential of Cyclone Mocha in Myanmar. I mean, these areas, I think we're looking at about... I think it's close to 20 million people now who are in a 10% chance of tropical storm conditions, and it's about... I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it's 5 million or several million that that are going to get a lot of rainfall from this, which of course can cause flash flooding and many other issues. But the main problem right now is this external influence, this massive the situation that's going on over there in Myanmar already, with over 1 million people displaced right now from ongoing issues in the country, which are continuing. So a lot of people sleeping rough, a lot of people who are out in the open, very dangerous potentially for those areas that are going to be affected. I don't really know on the ground which areas have the most people, and whether there's a lot of people in these vulnerable places right now along the coast, or whether they're well inland, or where. I will try and do more research on that for during the course of today, and find more information on that. Just looking at some of my other sources here. Any other information from our team right now?
I've got
his cone up.
Oh,
yes. I've literally just gotten done with the forecast cone, and I'm screen sharing it on my screen, Nathan. If you want to pull that up.
so this is what we're going to finish with here. There's Ethan's cone, and talk about it, Ethan. Tell us your philosophy.
So, as you saw me go through earlier, I went and looked through all of the computer models and made my best guess for the forecast intensity. Obviously, you've got a lot of models, the Euro, the GFS, the HWRF, all making this storm, including the ICON model, making this out to be a very strong storm. Best model consensus that I can give right now is probably the mid to low 930s on the pressure, which would normally correlate to a very strong Category 4 storm. And as such, I've forecasted a pretty strong Category 4. A pressure that low would probably mean around maybe getting towards 145 miles per hour. I've got a little bit lower than that at 140. You can see down here. But you can see they're very slight weakening as it goes into the landfall, with a 130 mile per hour forecast point just offshore. I think it could be a little bit weaker than that as it comes in. We'll have to wait and see on that, though. But of course, this is going to be a very strong storm at landfall, and looks to make landfall as at least a Category 3 on the Stafford-Simpson scale, if not a little bit stronger than that.
Wow, well, there we go. Cyclone Mocha is on its way. That's it from us here. But we'll obviously keep you well up to date on our live streaming service on our automated feed, which we'll be sending you off to in just a moment. Thanks to my team for taking part once again tonight. It's been nice to have you on board with your thoughts. But in the meantime, we've got warnings out there at the moment. This storm is drawing closer. It's less than 800 kilometers now from some of the closest points of land. We'll have more updates throughout the day. We'll have another live event this evening at approximately 6 or 7 p.m. Local time in Myanmar, so stay tuned for that, and we'll have confirmation on our YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. You'll be in the loop for more info. But from us here at Force 13 HQ, that's all for now, and we'll see you again soon. There's still plenty of time to prepare. Make sure you use it wisely if you are in the path of this storm. Good night.